Well, you can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi now walking down. He has already arrived at the Sayyid Sidi Nijali, the Prime Minister walking down that road. In fact, before we were beaming you these live visuals, the Prime Minister arrived here about 5 to 7 minutes back. Uh, they've barricaded this road because, understandably, because the Japanese Prime Minister and the First Lady of Japan are coming. A red carpet has been laid out for them. But the residents of Old Ahmedabad, that road has been barricaded and blocked. So they've gathered around that road, lined up around that road. They started chanting the name of Prime Minister Modi and shouting for him. So he walked up to them, waved at them, smiled. So there was a certain amount of euphoria. We could not show you those visuals live because of our placement of our cameras that way, but the Prime Minister did walk up to the residents of Old Ahmedabad. And right now, the Prime Minister is at the gate of this mosque, which is in itself a heritage monument, waiting for the visiting dignitaries, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and the First Lady of Japan. The Prime Minister will be receiving Prime Minister Abe and the First Lady of Japan at Sidi Saiyyid ni Jaali, which means Sidi Saiyyid ki Jaali, or Sidi Sayyid's Jaali, as this mosque has come to be known. This particular mosque is known for its stone lattice work, especially the tree of life that you can see here, and that has somehow come to represent Ahmedabad. In fact, now Ahmedabad became, in July this year, India's first World Heritage City, and this monument has become a symbol for Ahmedabad. We can see the Prime Minister waiting to receive the Japanese Prime Minister and the First Lady of Japan, who shall be coming here, arriving here any moment. They shall go inside the mosque and visit the mosque. After which, spending some time at the mosque, the dignitaries will walk across the street to a restaurant called Agashe, which means terrace in Gujarat. So this restaurant is above the terrace. It's also a heritage property. It's called the House of MG. MG was a wealthy businessman of Ahmedabad. His name was Mangal Das Giridhar Das. Mangal Das actually was the name. Giridhar Das was the father's name. That's how Gujaratis use their name. They put their father's name. They use that as a part of their name. So that's how it's called the House of MG. His descendants have now converted this house, which is a heritage property, into a restaurant. He was known as Nagar Seth. So this particular building is about 120 years old, and particularly known for the traditional Gujarati cuisine, which the visiting dignitaries will be. Now these are the visuals of the mosque that we're talking about, Sidi Saiyyid ni Jaali. I've been here for the past about 40 minutes. A namaz was offered here just before the Prime Minister arrived. This is an old mosque, about 450 years old, and is a heritage site. And as I was saying, the tree of life that this mosque, the lattice work, the stone lattice work of this mosque has come to represent Ahmedabad. This is the lattice work, the stone lattice work, the tree of life, which is the speciality of this mosque, and has come to represent Ahmedabad. This is the speciality of the mosque, this intricate carvings on the stone and the tree of life, which I was earlier also saying that has been used as half part of the logo of the 12th Indo-Japan Annual Summit. Now we can see the visuals of the Japanese Prime Minister, a car arriving, and Prime Minister Modi standing there to personally receive the Japanese Prime Minister and the First Lady of Japan. We can see Prime Minister Shinzo Abe alight from the vehicle, as well as Akira Abe arriving at the mosque. They're wearing the same Indian attire, the khadi attire that they were wearing at the roadshow. This was not the attire that they wore from Japan. In fact, when they alighted from the aircraft, they were in business suits, and later they changed at the airport itself and participated in the roadshow. The three dignitaries seated at the forecourt of Sidi Saiyyid Jaali. We can see they've taken their shoes off and they're walking inside the mosque, the Sidi Saiyyid Mosque. This mosque of Sidi Saiyyid was built in 1572 AD by Abyssin, the Prime Minister, explaining the intricate architecture, and both his guests in attendance. As I was saying, this mosque was built in 1572 AD by an Abyssin known as Sidi Saiyyid. He came from Habsha in Ethiopia via Yemen to Gujarat, and he later served the Sultan Nasiruddin Muhammad III. This lattice work is the speciality of this mosque. The three dignitaries posing for a photograph. This mosque is renowned worldwide for its delicately carved and artistic stone screens, or the Jaalis that I was talking about, that you can see right above on the top. It serves, of course, for ventilation, but add to the beauty. There's a tree of life which has come on these carvings, which has come to signify Ahmedabad. Well, this mosque was used as a government office during the British rule. In 1880, paper cutouts of our carved screens were taken and made of these mosques to they were made in wooden models and made for museums in London and New York. Today, these Jaalis depict the tree of life and have become a distinguished symbol of the city. In fact, this mosque right adjacent to the mosque is the grave of Sidi Saiyyid. It's situated within the compound of the mosque. So about a 450-year-old building, which is a heritage building, and Prime Minister Abe, Prime Minister Modi, and the First Lady of Japan, Akira Abe, walking through the mosque. It's an actual mosque. It's a protected monument. It's a heritage monument, but it is also where namaz takes place. The two prime ministers waving at the local residents. This is part of old Ahmedabad, the walled city of Ahmedabad, which is really a 9 square kilometer area, walled. As you know, Ahmedabad is a 600-year-old city with a lot of protected monuments, with 22,000, more than 22,000 properties, including houses where people still live today, which have been declared heritage buildings. There are 36 protected monuments in Ahmedabad. So right now we can see the Prime Minister inside the mosque. When you enter the mosque, the shoes are taken off as a mark of respect. The dignitaries wearing the shoes back. The two prime ministers talking amongst themselves. Prime Minister Modi would be talking about the history and the architecture of this mosque. Now we can see the Prime Minister and his guests leave the mosque. They moved out of the Sidi Saiyyid Jaali Mosque. They're crossing the street to go down to the house of MG, which is again a heritage property. There are people gathered along the road where this road has been blocked, but the excitement and the euphoria in people is so much. They're shouting, and the two prime ministers waving at them and walking just across the road to the house of MG, where the Agashiye restaurant is there. Agash means terrace in Gujarati. It's a heritage property that was built about 120 years ago by a wealthy businessman of the area who was known as Nagar State popularly in Ahmedabad. Um, he was a philanthropist as well, and this used to be his house. His descendants have now converted it into a heritage hotel cum restaurant. There are a few rooms there, and the Prime Minister taking his guests to the Agashe restaurant for dinner. The two leaders, this is a part of the cultural diplomacy, the dinner diplomacy that the Prime Minister is engaging in with the Japanese Prime Minister. Right now on your screens you can see once again visuals of the mosque, the Jaali, the a famous Jaali, because of which this mosque is known, on which the tree of life has been carved.